A good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's the beautiful 31st of May, 2025. Coming to this episode of the Canuck podcast. Bow to no one. That's right. The aftermath of the royal throne and the speeches and the half-assed patriotism and other bullshit that's plaguing our country yet again. Listener review discretion will be advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, and make fun of the king, prime minister, and all of the followers. Oh my. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please. Stick around. See you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 371, Bow to No One, the Crusty Up podcast. This podcast is also brought to you in part by and supported by Veterans for Freedom Network. That's right, Stand 2, Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon, Veterans for Freedom TV. Keep it posted. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Once again, my apologies for being tardy this week. I've had a really busy work week. Extra hours here, extra hours there. I got to pay off the government, right? Because they're garnishing my wages. Oh, those lovely people at the CRA. Oh, my. Those bastards. Anyway, if you're liking to hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, share this content on your social media platforms too. My last video, I've got about maybe 700 views on it. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Thank you, my wonderful audience out there. But I'm not getting any comments. So which is it? You guys being censored? You don't want to say anything? Just let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Pass it all around. We can beat this Canadian censorship dogma by passing the work around, passing the info. Anyway, I'm digressing. Like I said, like the title card says too, we had a throne speech there last week. King Charles come to Canada, right? Royal throne farce, royal air farce, however you want to call it, okay? And as I mentioned before, I am not big on the whole monarchy thing anymore for very good reasons, ladies and gentlemen, for very good reasons, okay? I don't believe that in the modern society we should bow to any king or queen. I don't believe that anymore. And considering the carnage that has been caused by the Liberal brand since 2015, we should bow to no one. Now, if you're a religious person, if you are a spiritual person, by all means, you find your light, you go with it. But the average citizen out there in Canada does not need to answer to a king or a queen, period. Now, it's on our books. Historically speaking, Canada is a constitutional monarchy. We still are a constitutional monarchy, right? But I also believe, too, that our Constitution needs a lot of work. Okay, especially when it comes to free speech, freedom of assembly, private property rights, self-defense, right? Freedom of expression, freedom of the press, you name it. It needs a good overhaul, okay? And the last thing we need is King Charles, who was born in privilege, raised in privilege, telling us what to do. Now, that goes for any monarchy as well. Now, you can talk about the traditions of the king and queen. You can talk about the traditions of the British monarchy, the British Empire, the French Empire, yada, yada, yada. Who gives a royal flush? No pun. Doesn't matter. Okay. This week, I've been really thinking about the priorities of this government, and it's basically just Trudeau 2.0. Okay. Mark Carney and his libtards want to constantly bring more money to the table in the name of spending and investing. Okay. To the tunes of, I think, roughly $486 billion that's going to come out of your pocket, my pocket, their pockets, this pockets, except for the government's pockets when it comes to this spending. Now, they've been criticized religiously over military spending, over procurement processes, over the natural resources sector. And one side of the party says, yes, we're going to have pipelines. The other side of the party says, no, we're not going to have pipelines because you still have a bunch of activists calling the shots. Okay. Now, I remember when politicians actually carried themselves a little more dignity rather than being activists. Okay. I am so sick and tired of activists calling the shots in Parliament. People getting $260,000 a year to sit there and tell me, you can't do that. Oh, you can't own this. You can't own that, right? And all these little tirades and little tantrums that they promote, okay? These are people that are well into their 40s, 50s, in some cases their 60s, stomping their feet, making a big stink because they don't like someone else's opinion. They don't like someone else's point of view. They don't like it when people think for themselves, as we should here in Canada, and to my friends in the South, the United States as well, in Britain, and every working democracy around the globe. People should think for themselves, regardless of how you feel about it or not. Okay? And my personal points of view when it comes to the whole king thing, it's amazing how 3 years ago, people couldn't stand the sight of the maple leaf there behind me. Oh, it's not a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol of fascism. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. Those truckers using the flag in vain. Oh, my God. Defacing the Terry Fox statue. Oh, no. Oh my God. The pain, the chaos. Oh, my God. When the statue wasn't defaced, just someone put a flag around him. Right? Do you remember the T-shirt he wore back in 1980 when he was running across Canada? Marathon of Hope had the geographical picture of Canada with a maple leaf in it. You don't remember that? And yet, looking for every excuse for people to be huddled and herded in like cattle, right? But now all the patriots come out when the king come over. Oh, great. All the elbows up crowd, But like I said in my last episode, y'all got duped because there's more money that's going to be coming out of your pockets, going into the Liberal coffers for their investments, right? Has there been any plan that's been brought forth to Canadian people in regards of who's going to invest in Canada, right? Bill C-69 is still on the table. They're still pushing it. They don't want any more pipelines. So who in the right mind wants to invest in Canada, right? Quebec is still dead against a pipeline, yet more Quebecers are coming out saying, hey, we want the oil and gas, huh? They're saying that. But the Bloc doesn't want to do it. And some members of the Quebec Legislative Assembly doesn't want to have it either. Well, interesting, eh? But they want the money, right? How can we call our format here in this country an equalization format when La Belle Province gets $13.6 billion out of how many billions the rest of the provinces get? Well, they don't get billions. Ontario, I think, gets roughly 600, maybe 700 million, right? They have a bigger population. There's more social services that had to be looked after, right? East Coast doesn't have 1 billion people. They don't get $1 billion. A few hundred million here, a few hundred million there. That's it. And Quebec gets the biggest chunk. Yet they don't want any oil and gas, but they want all the money. Do you not see the irony in that? Do you not see just the weird freaking irony in that whole conglomerate? Okay? It's just interesting how the priorities change all the time in this country. We have a new prime minister. Well, it's not really new. It's just Justin Trudeau 2.0. He doesn't have the extravagant socks, but he also has the extravagant bullshit and the people to back him up, as always. Think about it, though, ladies and gentlemen. There's no budget that's going to be on the table, but they're going to spend all this money prior to a fall budget. That's the logic, and that's what people voted for. That's what the elbows up crowd voted for. I hope you're really pleased with yourselves, right? As long as your investments are good, hey, fuck the rest of the country, right?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bow to No One, episode 371 of the Crusty Canuck podcast of the Royal Farce. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Crusty Canuck. And just a reminder, too, if you like and hear what you see, click like and subscribe. Share this podcast all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to cue up a video here that comes from an MP by the name of Mr. Beexi, who comes from Bow River, Alberta. It's about 8 minutes long, so please bear with me. It's just a great speech, what this man has to say. Okay? And, It's pulls at my heartstrings, not just because he's from Alberta and he's a brand new conservative MP. It's just a really, really empowered speech, and I want you guys to really listen to it and take what you can from it. Okay. Yeah. So please, ladies and gentlemen, just take what you can out of this. I'll just cue this up here. Like I say, it's about 8 minutes long, so please listen to it carefully and just listen to the passion in this man's words. Right. His name is David Beexi. He is Keenan Bexi's reporter for Juno News. This is his father from Bow River, Alberta. So please consider his words. Probably one of the most patriotic speeches I've heard in a very, very long time. So please, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
I rise in this house today with humility and purpose. I stand here with the promise one that shaped my family across generations. A promise that if you worked hard, raise your family, and love your country, you'll be free to live in dignity and peace. I'm the great-grandson of a pioneer who broke the untamed fields of what would become Alberta before there was power and pavement. I'm also the son of a farmer who survived communism with nothing but his hands, his family, and the hope that Alberta would be a place where his children could speak freely, live safely, and never bow to a state that hated them. My father didn't come to Canada in 1953 for a handout. He didn't arrive on a student visa or as part of some bureaucratic temporary foreign worker program. No, Hubert Beexi came to Canada to build a farm, to build a community, to build a country, and most importantly, to build a family. He paid back his own passage from Europe by laboring in Alberta's sugar beet fields. On the southern edge of this ferry riding, I represent here today with no welfare, no hotel rooms, no Liberal-sponsored welcome package, just sweat, sacrifice, and a belief that what Canada could be was what we should aspire to. I chose to raise my own 4 children in the Alberta countryside because that's where promise still lives. It lived with my great-grandfather's hands, it lived in my father's footsteps, and now it lives in my children. And let me say this, I would not be here without the support of my wife, Lorelei, my children, Kyle, Kian, William, and Annalise, my mother, Nadine, and the rest of my extended family. I also want to thank the many people of Bow River, from Grassy Lakes to Tilly, Jem to Bicyker, Conrich to Siksika Nation, Arrowwood, Milo, Carmangay, Barnwell, and everywhere in between. You are my neighbors. You are us, who I aspire to be, and I hold this seat for you. I also owe a debt of gratitude to 4-H Alberta, a program in a community that shaped me early. I joined when I was 9 years old, and it was there that I learned how to speak with confidence, work with purpose, and serve my neighbors. It's where I first lived the motto I could still carry with me today, to learn to do by doing. Mr. Speaker, I also want to recognize the young people watching today. In Alberta, the grade 6 curriculum, grade 6 students learn about our political system, and many are watching these proceedings live. One of those classrooms is taught by Dr. Brian Jackson of Lyalta, and these students are paying attention. They're learning not from sound bites, but from how we carry ourselves in this house. Mr. Speaker, the riding that sent me here is called Bow River. It's not just a place, it's a people. It's a home, it's a promise. You see, much like the people who rely on it, the Bow doesn't ask Ottawa's permission to flow. It carves through rocks, it sustains life, it cuts a path forward whether anyone is in this chamber notices or not. The Bow runs past oil wells shut down by people who've never set foot on a rig. It flows past farms taxed by bureaucrats who couldn't grow a weed. It flows past churches left to burn. While politicians offered excuses instead of justice, it flows past the homes of veterans, seniors, and families forgotten by the system, but not by me. The beautiful thing about the Bow is this: even when the government grinds to a halt, it keeps flowing. When politicians hostile to Alberta try to strangle our economy, it keeps flowing. When bureaucrats and glass towers write the rules that cripple our farms, it keeps flowing. When unelected judges rewrite our rules and call it progress, it keeps flowing. When they shut down our churches, our rigs, and our rodeos, it keeps flowing. The Bow doesn't care about trendy acronyms or performative politics. It cares about feeding cattle, watering crops, and quenching the thirst of a working land. It fuels an ecosystem, an economy, and it helps feed the world. It doesn't wait for permission. It flows where it needs to flow. And if it wasn't clear, Mr. Speaker, I'm not just talking about the river, I'm talking about the people. Because just like the Bow, we move with purpose. And we're done with waiting for the rest of the country to catch up. We don't need a national strategy, we need Ottawa to get out of the way. Mr. Speaker, I ran to represent the people who built this country, and now watch it being dismantled by people who don't understand it. And worse, don't even like it. This week, the Prime Minister stood before this country and promised more of the same.
Yeah, note how he said people who dismantle it, who know nothing about it. Kind of like all the environmental activists out there and the so-called peace seekers who know nothing about world affairs or security or actually procuring proper Canadian resources. Anyhow, I'll carry on.
A new housing bureaucracy. a new set of buzzwords instead of a budget, and more red tape instead of results. And not a word, not a single word about oil and gas pipelines or the workers who drive our economy. Let's be honest with Canadians. We don't need to renew the consensus on immigration, the one that's fueled the Liberal political ambition for a decade. We need to rebuild this country for Canadians. We don't need to gaslight working families into acceptance of out-of-control immigration while wages stagnate, house prices explode, and services collapse. We need to restore common sense and put Canadians first in their own country. We don't need more empty promises. We need paychecks you can raise a family on, homes you can actually afford, and streets you feel safe walking down. We need less gatekeeping, less government, and a whole lot more grit. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I come from the part of Canada that feeds this country and fuels its economy. So you'll understand if I speak plainly. Because where I come from, words matter, but work and deeds matter more. I'm here to...
Yes, I like that. Words matter. You know, they can be painful, they can be joyous, they can be loving, but words matter. Words fucking matter. Well said, David.
Fight for the honest worker, the family farmer, the rig hand, the rancher, the welder, the widow, the health worshiper, and every kid who still believes this country can be worth something. I come to this House with one of the strongest mandates in the nation. And Mr. Speaker, do you know how I earned it? I promised to rip this place down to the studs and start rebuilding a country we can recognize again. The Prime Minister this week showed he's here to do the opposite. Behind the pageantry and parades, he disrespected the Crown by using the King to deliver a tired and empty speech, meant to distract Canadians from a simple truth. He's still stumbling forward on the heels of Justin Trudeau's failed record. Mr. Speaker, I have deep respect for our institutions, but what Canadians needed this week wasn't ceremonial flourishes, they needed substance. Not sentiment, but solutions. Not more speeches from...
Yep, breads and circuses, that's right. Let's make a parade. Let's show we care about Canada by bringing in the King, even though the same party tried to disenfranchise Canadians for standing up for Canada, but okay.
Elites in suits, but action for people in coveralls. The farmers, the builders, the rig hands, the parents wondering how they afford groceries and heat at the same time. Canadians are tired of being lectured. They're tired of being told everything is fine when they can see with their eyes that it's not. This country has a proud and noble history. It was built by pioneers, sustained by families, and defended by those willing to risk everything for the promise of freedom and prosperity. But after a decade of mismanagement and division from the Liberal front bench, that promise is fading. Alberta separatism is no longer a fringe idea. I heard it at the doors more times than I can count. And I'll tell you plainly, Alberta staying in Confederation is not up to me, and it's not up to the Liberal government. It's up to the people of Alberta. And the Albertans know that they have options. If this House continues to insult, abuse, and neglect Alberta, if it refuses to treat our people and our industries with the respect that they've earned, then the future of this country is not guaranteed. Not this job here tomorrow. At any moment, this government could lose the confidence of the House. And when that moment comes, Canadians will remember who stayed with them and who stood in their way. Because when the system stalls, the Bow River keeps flowing. When this government offers platitudes instead of a plan, the bow keeps flowing. When they forget who built this country, we remember and we keep moving. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the people of Bow River for one of the strongest mandates in this nation. To my family and my friends, my neighbors, thank you for trusting me with this duty. I won't let you down. I didn't come here to rub shoulders with royalty. I came here to fight for the families, farmers, and energy workers who build this country. And I'll keep fighting until the Liberal government gets the message. Because that promise still lives, and I intend to keep it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise in this House today with...
That was, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic. Fan-effing-tastic. Right? Passion, dedication, patriotism. Is that such a dirty word? Especially to my Eastern listeners out there? No? To my Eastern listeners out there, have you sat in a pub or a bar or any kind of hockey game or any event or any kind of public gathering and overheard people talk about Canada this, Canada that? Oh, we're so terrible. We're so mean. And yet the benefits that are given to people in this nation are just beautiful, right? Right? Now, it doesn't matter if you're from Alberta, or if you're from BC, or if you're from Saskatchewan or Manitoba. And my condolences out there to the people that have lost their homes in the recent wildfires. Okay. But this isn't a time to panic. And as Mr. Beexi said, this isn't a time to hobnob and rub shoulders with royalty. This is time to rub and hobnob with people that want to work and make a difference in this country. This is a time to hobnob and get things on the go for proper art, for proper labor, for proper things for people to live with and thrive with. Okay. And as Mr. Beexi said, it was just breads and circuses. It was just a show. Oh, look, I care about Canada. Oh, look, I really care. I really care about you. I really care about this. I really care about that. Bullshit. Okay, bullshit. Right? It's because of people like Mr. Mark Carney, Frankie Bubbles, Francois de Chapelain, or a Champagne. Ryan from Northern Perspective does a very, very good impression of him. It's hilarious. But we're seeing the phony seep out of the old box. We're seeing the juices seep out. We're seeing the garbage come out. Okay. And people voted for it again. People are on that like fat kids in a Kit Kat, for crying out loud. So what are we going to look forward to this summer? Right? They'll be back to work again on Monday, back to work as per, question periods, and try to justify more spending, in the billions, not in the hundreds, or the thousands, but the hundreds of billions, close to $1 trillion in spending to upgrade this country. They've had many a time to upgrade the country, but instead they'd spend money over here and over there and give this away to this and give this away to that. How much did it cost to bring the king over, to have his chariot drawn for him, to speak in the Senate, to put him up in accommodations, to do all the ceremonial stuff? Now, hats off to my fellow RCR that were there on parade to give him a proper salute. Hats off to those gentlemen. Okay? Hats off to the military that were there to display the loyalty to the king, loyalty to the crown. Okay. But I'm not going to give hats off to individuals that really, really wanted this government to call the shots again, especially after 9 years of this chaos, the debts, the divisions. And for what? Oh, Carney's the man. He's got a plan. He's going to spend more money than Justin Trudeau ever did. How does he have a plan? That's what happens when you have a central banker calling the shots, ladies and gentlemen. Right? He's not big business for Canada. He's big business for him and his holdings. No one knows where his taxes are going, yet I'm getting nailed for taxes every paycheck now because of the whole garnishee bullshit. Right? Something to think about, right, ladies and gentlemen? Priorities, folks. Where are they? They have none, right? Once again, bow to no one.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 371 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Bow to no one, folks. That's right. Bow to fucking no one. If you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this podcast, all of your social media platforms. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Do the best you can. Please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me comments, wherever you might find this podcast. Don't be shy. Thank you once again out there to some of my viewers that have come from New Zealand and Japan and the Netherlands. Thank you very much. I looked at my stats on my Podbean. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone who has watched my show thus far, especially my new American audience. I'm getting a lot more people from California. So I want to say thank you out there to my California friends and fans of the show. Thank you very much. Keep watching, keep subscribing, spread it all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. Spread my show everywhere. Be dirty about it. Anyway, I'm carrying on with this whole episode. Bow to no one. So we have a history of the monarchy. Okay. Constitutional monarchy, answer the king, blah, 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 blah. No more. No more. Why? Why? Because of the Commonwealth, because of the history, because of the British Empire. Okay, I get it. And it's good to understand our history. It's good to understand the origins of Canada. It's good to understand that there were Vikings here in Newfoundland well before Christopher Columbus ever stood and discovered America. Vikings were in Newfoundland. Okay. There's evidence of them having battles with Beotics. That was Newfoundland's first peoples. Okay. There's evidence of settlements and fishing and colonization, I guess you can say, lack of a better term. But that's part of history. The English and French were at odds in Europe, and they're at odds throughout their new empires. So were the Spanish and the Portuguese, banging heads, banging heads. Spain went broke, so did Portugal. France had a revolution in the 1780s. Who reigned supreme? The British Empire. That's history. It's not always right. It's not always wrong. However, how However, we shall persevere nonetheless. Now, I'm having some technical difficulties here. I don't know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. There might be a freeze here. Needless to say, carry on. Do not worry. Okay? Do not worry all the same. I will get this technical issue sorted out as soon as I can. However, how about I just end the show right here anyway? Like, I've been Crusty Canuck on this May 31st, 2025, ladies and gentlemen. I wish good things for you all out there. Do not be shy. Give me a like, comment, all that good stuff. And if you can, please consider joining the page if you can. $3 a month will give you, help me out. And plus, you'll get entered for a T-shirt and a hat. So please donate if you can too.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And we're back to the podcast. I know I had some technical issues there. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 31st of May, 2025. I wish good things for you all out there. Do not be shy, ladies and gentlemen. Do what you can to help you out in these trying times. And weather's getting hotter, so please keep your wits about you. If you smoke cigarettes, don't just throw your butt at random. Put it out, field strip it, all that good stuff. Be safe. Hydrate. It's getting warmer out, so get all the water you can into you. And just do your best to be good to each other, the best of your abilities, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a little difficult. However, just persevere nonetheless. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
To absent friends, I will never forget. Hooah.